The trident felt heavier than usual in Arthur Curry's hand that day, not from its weight, but from the immense moral burden it represented. He stood, not with the familiar faces of the Justice League, but with a motley collection of his most hated adversaries. Among them, a figure shrouded in a distinctive helmet, the one who haunted his darkest nightmares, Black Manta. The very thought of it was anathema, a betrayal of every principle he held dear. Yet, here they were, poised to save a world that had fallen into utter chaos. This extraordinary, almost unbelievable situation arose from the darkest hour the Earth had known. The crime syndicate, an alternate reality version of the Justice League, had breached dimensions, arriving with brutal efficiency to conquer our world. They had swiftly dispatched the Justice League, leaving our planet vulnerable, leaderless, and teetering on the brink of absolute despair. Hope was a fading ember. It was in this void that an unexpected, audacious plan was hatched by Lex Luthor. The arch-nemesis of Superman, often seen as the embodiment of human villainy, recognized the dire threat. To fight evil of such magnitude, he proposed an alliance, one that would make even the most hardened hero blanch. He gathered Earth's villains, from Deathstroke to Captain Cold, and convinced them that their continued existence depended on defeating the crime syndicate. This desperate makeshift team came to be known, ironically, as the Injustice League. And, in a shocking twist, certain heroes, including Aquaman, found themselves forced to collaborate with them, their former foes, to reclaim their world. For Arthur, the King of Atlantis, this was more than just a strategic compromise. It was a profound personal torment. Black Manta, the ruthless mercenary, had long been his nemesis, but their feud transcended mere hero-villain rivalry. Manta was responsible for the death of Arthur's infant son, Arthur Jr. The scar of that loss ran deep, an open wound that time had never truly healed. To breathe the same air, to share the same battlefield, even against a common enemy, was an agonizing ordeal. Every glance at Manta's distinctive mask, every fleeting moment their paths crossed, was a fresh stab of grief and rage. Yet, the stakes were unimaginably high. The survival of humanity, of his own beloved Atlantis, depended on this fragile, abhorrent alliance holding together. Aquaman, ever the steadfast protector, knew he had no choice. He had to set aside his personal vendetta, to swallow the bitter pill of necessity for the greater good. There were moments during the grueling struggle when their paths intertwined in grim irony. A stray blast from a crime syndicate member might have struck Aquaman had Manta not, in his own self-interest, inadvertently intercepted it. Or Aquaman, in the heat of battle, might clear a path that allowed Manta to escape certain doom, not out of care, but out of the cold, calculating need to keep their shared objective alive. There were no words exchanged, no nods of acknowledgement, just the brutal, unspoken understanding that for this fleeting period, their lives were linked by the desperate need to survive. The fight was ferocious, protracted, and ultimately victorious. The combined, unconventional might of these temporary allies managed to push back the crime syndicate, to restore the balance, and to save the Earth from utter subjugation. The world breathed a collective sigh of relief. The Justice League returned, and the crisis was averted. But, as the dust settled, a harsh reality began to unfold, revealing the true, bitter cost of this desperate gambit. In the aftermath of such a monumental conflict, with the world in disarray and the immediate threat neutralized, many of the villains who had participated in the Injustice League were either pardoned, having contributed to humanity's salvation, or simply vanished into the chaos, escaping justice in the confusion. And among them, Black Manta. He was free. The man who had taken Arthur's child, the murderer whose actions had shattered his family, was now walking away, unpunished, a direct consequence of the very measures Arthur had helped put into motion to save the world. The sense of triumph Aquaman might have felt for saving Earth was immediately overshadowed by a crushing wave of profound personal injustice. He had faced down cosmic threats, commanded the oceans, and fought alongside gods. But this felt different. This was a wound inflicted not by a villain's hand in battle, but by the very ethical tightrope he had walked. It was a stark, unyielding lesson in the moral compromises of war. When the very fabric of existence is threatened, when the world teeters on the edge of destruction, heroes are often forced to make deals with devils, to embrace methods they would normally despise, and to stand with those they loathe. The victory came at an immeasurable personal cost for Arthur Curry. The world was safe, yes, but his son's killer was free. And that freedom was a direct, inescapable consequence of the desperate measures needed to ensure humanity's survival. The bargain, though necessary, left a permanent, bitter taste, a constant reminder that sometimes, even in victory, there are profound, heartbreaking losses that no amount of heroism can fully mend. This story of Aquaman and Black Manta during the Forever Evil story is a powerful illustration of the complex choices heroes sometimes face. It asks us to consider the true meaning of justice and the uncomfortable gray areas that emerge when the fate of the world hangs in the balance. What are your thoughts on this grim bargain? Do you think the ends always justify the means in such dire circumstances? Share your perspectives in the comments below. If you found this exploration thought-provoking, please consider liking this video and subscribing for more deep dives into the complex narratives of our favorite characters.